So you all didn't see the final genetic tree, right? So so this is a within the Tibeto-Burman branch, and it's within Lolo-Burmese sub-branch. This is within here, with a close relationship to modern Burmese. If you zoom in, no, this is a recent phylogenetic study of Sino-Tibetan languages, and Achang is here, close related to Burmese, and this language is Xiandao. Xiandao is a language that almost distinct with only no more than 200 native speakers several decades ago. Uh, and Mandarin is called Achang Yu and Achang language. And there are basically 39,000, actually no more than 35,000 native speakers in China, because some of them lost their native language, and about basically the same amount of people in modern Burma. It has three main dialects. I will focus on these dialects, and these three dialects are not mutually intelligible. And it has been in extensive contact with Chinese, Jingpo and Thai. This is called Thai in Thailand or Dai in China. And it's in contact with both Sino-Tibetan and the non-Sino-Tibetan languages. So Jingpo is Tibeto-Burman in another sub-branch. And it is the Assyrian language, and this is typical tonal without complex morphologies. Yeah, and I'm gonna share some pictures where I did field work. You can see this looks very Southeast Asia, right? And this is a white elephant. This is their totem, and this is the white dragon, and this is a sword. So elephant is one of their most totem. Yeah, I want to share some. The Achang people have developed a highly developed textile industry, and they are also good at making swords on knives. So I want to just briefly mention, so these lexicons related to weaving and knitting are very important historical linguistics, because Tibeto-Burman languages, some of them don't share too much cognates with Chinese, whether it's modern Chinese or old Chinese, but they are very, very, very old cognates related to knitting and weaving, which could mean that Proto-Sino-Tibetan people might have already developed such textile skills, which is really interesting. And here are some food I ate there. I really like this. I really like this. This is a beef bowl with a lot of herbs. I really like this. Okay, recommend you this. Okay, let's dive into syntax. Here, what are the typology? So, I will focus on some very interesting or irregular things in a syntax. If a DP acts as a complement, without exception, it must precede the verb. But if you have a clausal complement, something's different. Like this, he says to like this, I think the dish made by him tastes well. In this scenario, the clausal complement, the dish made by him tastes well, can either follows the matrix main verb that, or it can precede the matrix main verb that. Yeah, I mean, read them a little bit, just let you feel how this language sounds. Like you could say, nga ta xiang ko lai za ge ye. You could see that. You could put it ahead of it. That's okay. But if the clausal complement is a direct quotation, he says to you, don't drink water. It can only appear after the matrix main verb, say. And this order is more natural for native speakers, where clausal complement precedes the main verb. I'm not sure whether this has any relations with context with Chinese, but both orders are acceptable. And talk about some complement. So the terminology complement has been used in a different way in descriptive Chinese syntax, according to Sibisma. It basically refers to a non-nominal constituent that follows the verb or adjective. You could see I want to show some parallel patterns between Achang and Chinese because you could see I got up late. This late, 秒, that follows the main verb is absolutely parallel with Chinese. I walk into the house. The directional complement, 往, follows the verb walk. But something is different when the complements introduce some stative complement like he's running slowly. You cannot put this slow, 呀, after the main verb run, which is 表. But interesting thing is if you use a Chinese loan word meaning slow, this 忙, you can put it after the main verb. So this may imply that at least the stative complement structure could possibly be a loaned saying from Chinese because in Syntactic languages, verb complement structures become very productive nearly 2,000 years ago, which is a time that Achang early split it from the Syntactic branch. So, in a historical syntax, it's very interesting to answer whether this structure is retained from the Proto language or borrowed thing from Chinese. Let's see. I will skip a lot of contents. Let's see when an adjective modifies a noun, that adjective always follows noun, which is not something special. High store, you simply say still high. 当库按명 or 当库打地名, a bit higher store. And let's get relative clauses. Relative clauses are interesting because generally Achang puts relative clauses before the nominal has. So this sorry, this one should be deleted. This he make dish means the dish that is made by him. So clause precedes the head noun, but you can see 19 B, the relative clauses can also follow the head noun. And what is more interesting is you can even have the head noun appear twice. You could see the dish he make dish, which means the dish made by him. But we may wonder which position could this head noun base generated. I think a good diagnosis is to put this optional accusative marker. So le is it's like Japanese ni. It's very multifunctional. It can mark the object or locative. If you put this particle, postpositional particle le, it can only be attached after the first head noun. So this one gonna be ungrammatical. This dish he cooked dish, if you put accusative marker after the second head noun, it becomes ungrammatical. So this seems to imply that this word order is the canonical one in Achang, which also follows the word order typology. So again, this could be this one.
If what is relativized with a more complex phrase, like, tall man, whatever, what is it? What is in the copy position? Is it just the head or is it the whole phrase?
You mean the man who is tall?
Tall man.
A tall man.
I saw.
The tall man I saw.
Is it a tall man I saw a man or the tall man I saw a tall man?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Is it tall man I saw man
Tall man.
or tall man I saw tall man?
So you mean where the adjective goes, right?
No, I mean, you say there's two And some
Two head,
you
yeah.
can have two nouns, right?
Two nouns, yes.
But you have two noun phrases.
Oh, two noun phrases. I actually don't know because Widow is quite flexible in this language. Yeah, I can take a note. So the tall man. Oh, I did a recording. I can
Your
read.
question makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
okay.
Japanese has a similar, like, I think at least in Japanese, if you've got like an adjective like tasty apple or something like that, I can't remember the details exactly, but I think it's like the internal position, you can have an adjective and a less specified external one. So like the tasty apple that Taro ate, tasty apple, fine. Tasty
Okay.
apple that Taro ate, apple, where it's less specified
Ah.
outside, but you can't have the apple that Taro ate, tasty apple, where it's
Oh,
specified
yeah.
on the outside.
Yeah, I need more elicitation to see whether this more specified head can appear, right?
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
And if I can actually tag on another question, I was wondering, are there any interpretive differences between the pre-nominal, post-nominal?
I
headed?
was trying to elicit, but I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Okay.
Because I would say some of the phenomena can either be explained from a generative perspective or either from a context perspective, because this language is very highly extensive context with Chinese, which if we have time, we can see an IGT class that I included in the appendix. Yeah, so because this order, in modern Chinese, relative clauses strictly precedes the head noun in Chinese. So probably this something affected by Chinese. Okay, then we got to this kind of relative clauses, which I don't actually know how to analyze this in syntactic structure. Mountains that are opposite from us, you can put it like English and Japanese, you can put the head noun at peripheral positions, mountain, ours, opposite, or ours, opposite mountain. But you can also have the head noun in between, like ours, mountain, opposite. Yeah, again, I'm not sure whether there are semantic differences between them, but these are syntactically acceptable.
You mean one of them is an internally headed one?
Which one do you mean?
I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. So A and B, yeah, A and B are externally headed. So do you mean C is a
C maybe, so this, is this a head down?
Yeah, this
Is in the
is.
middle?
Yeah.
Could this be an internally headed relative clause? So yeah, you kind of have to embed this in a sentence to see, can you say something like, I saw mountains that are opposite from us using this as a
Yeah. That's a good point. I need more dislocation. So I saw a mountain that is I saw mountains that are opposite from us to see.
You kind of have to embed that to see
whether C can be embedded.
Yeah. So if that's not kind of behaves like a nominal, then
yeah.
almost like the Japanese one.
Yeah. Thanks so much. And I will skip this. Now, when a noun modifies a noun, it precedes the head noun, fish, flash. Yeah. Yeah, this is an interesting point. For this, if there is something demonstratives, some locatives modifies a nominal head, like houses that are there. You could see here genitive house. This is like Chinese, like Japanese, here genitive house. But the interesting thing is, I have mentioned that le can had a pp, like he is at Kunming, Kunming locative. So Kunming locative is a pp. But pp headed by le can not, a pp headed by le cannot directly modifies a head noun, which is different from Chinese or Japanese, because in Chinese you could say Kunming, at Kunming particle house, and in Japanese, you could say like Tokyo de no uchi, right? But in this language, right? Tokyo de no
Yeah,
uchi.
that sounds, I mean, it depends on the example, but
Yeah, but in this language, it is totally unacceptable. If you want to say a house that is at Kunming, you cannot make this PP directly modify this head noun. It's different from Chinese or Japanese. But I think this is kind of depends on the nature of postpositions, because this gao, the gao bao means a wall that is on the water. And this sentence, I got this sentence from the natural corpus, which is really interesting because gao seems also like a postposition. And the gao means water on, it projects a PP, but in this case, this PP can directly modify this head noun. So 子高包, this means water on warm. This is okay. So try to seek how to analyze the difference between the or gao, or why some PPs can directly modify a head noun while others cannot. I think a possible explanation can be made an analogy from Japanese, because in Japanese syntax, postpositions sometimes classified into two types: the postpositions or case markers, and postpositions like kara, they project their own maximal projections, and they can modify a head noun. Like for case markers like nominative, accusative, ga, or they directly criticize onto an MP, so that it's kind of similar to Japanese. We can say that this le is like ni, no, it's like ga and or. They directly criticized to its preceding nominal, and it does not project a PP. So that explains how le can differ from this gao, which is on, but I still cannot explain. It's just explain the differences, but I still cannot explain why a PP projected by le is still ungrammatical. Yeah, this is something I find very interesting. Let's skip a lot of things. Let me first talk about WH questions. If we have time, we can get back to, yeah, let's first talk about negation. If you had time, let's get back to copular sentences. So in negation, there are basically two negative markers in Achang. One is another is da. We will focus on ma, because this is a very old Sino-Tibetan negative marker. It in Sino-Tibetan languages, there normally exist at least two negation marker. One is described as volitional negation, like I don't want. It implies I don't want to eat breakfast. Oh, this is Mandarin, sorry. 我不吃早饭. So 不 is represent volitional negation, while this may is cognate to Achang, is described as a denial of the fact. So if you use, this is a minimal pair. If you change 不 to may, it means I haven't eaten breakfast, but you could consciously want to eat. But in Achang, there doesn't have such distinction. Or in Lùxī Achang, in another dialect of Achang, it does have such a distinction. And in modern Burmese, it also has. So it could be said that in this dialect, in Lùxī Achang, the two negative markers could have been merged. Yeah. So the interesting thing of this negative marker is the word order is quite flexible. It can float onto different positions. For example, this one. Oh, I will first clarify. You might wonder, if Achang only has this one negative marker, how to make a distinction between volitional negation and factual negation. So it uses sentence final particles. So this is a minimal pair. If you put this sentence final particle, then it can only mean I don't eat breakfast. If you don't put this is kind of sounds weird. But if you want to make the negation types clear, you can also use aspect marker to make it clear, such as this. If you put a experience marker, well, this is not ambiguous. This only has one meaning. 那咋签咋哇? It can only mean I haven't eaten breakfast. It cannot mean I don't eat breakfast. You can also use an auxiliary verb to make the negation types clear. If you use this auxiliary verb want, 老, you say 我昨天唔知老. It can only mean I don't want to eat breakfast, rather than I haven't eaten breakfast. But unlike Chinese, this negation cannot be used to answer the question. In Chinese, you can simply use a negation mark, and same in Japanese, but this language, you cannot. The interesting about the word order of this scope of negation is it is quite flexible. In this sentence, I don't want to come to drink water. The canonical order is the negative marker linearly follows the main verb 子 nga 子 su lao kao follows this drink. But you can also make it float a little bit after the the canonical order is a negative marker follows the direct object water, but it also make it higher than the main verb drink. I don't want to, no, the embedded verb drink. But you can never have it too high. You cannot put it after the auxiliary verb come. Needless to say, you cannot put it sentence final at the highest position. So this negative marker is sometimes referred to as negation, sentential negation. But from these examples, it seems it's not a sentential marker because it cannot directly negate a proposition like D. But because in English, the not is also very flexible. You can see I do not want to come to drink water. I want to not come to drink water. I want to come to drink not water. Also very flexible. But in this language, it can float, but not that high. Yeah. And the nominal expressions are also negated by But what is different in nominal negation is the word order is kind of more flexible because the B examples in verbal negation is not totally ungrammatical. But in this, you can say that bird not be, or that bird, or that not be bird. Kind of more flexible in nominal negations.
It's the same.
Yeah, this is a good question because I have been always wondering, are these flexible word orders are semantically different, but seems most of them are. But we will see an example later that very interesting semantic differences when different word order are used. Yeah.
So what's the justification that it's negating the nominal? Because it's right adjacent to the verb. And like even English negation, we say, I'm not dancing. How do we know it's not negating? Because in B, the copula is still right adjacent.
Yeah.
So, and it seems like in C, when you've actually separated out negation and copula, you get ungrammaticality. So I just like, is there a reason that you're saying it's negation of the nominal and not just the verb, and negation just precedes the lexical verb?
Yeah, this is a very good point. A possible answer is I have skipped the copular sentences. I didn't mention that for this copular ng, when it is negated, normally it has a phonological fusion with a negation, which is very common in languages. So, but I didn't hear, because normally if this copular ng is negated, it fused with m. It's pronounced as ng. Some people pronounce as a click like ng, or some as m, but this does not fuse. But this is a good, very, very good point. Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah. Yeah, let's go to the yeah, these examples are very complex. So so the question is, the volitional negation and, well, let me just skip this because this is quite complex. Let's see interactive. So Achang, like many scientific and syntactic languages, use a sentence final particle mo to mark yes, no question. That's not interesting. But the interesting is it also has a pre-verbal Q particle, which is this gu. This is not special too, because a pre-verbal Q particle in an OV line also exists in some Syntactic varieties, family known as Jianghuai Mandarin or Southwest Mandarin. This is a Jianghuai Mandarin example, but it's ungrammatical in Syntactic languages. When two Q particles co-occur, you cannot say he, Q, come, Q. But in this Achang, you could have two Q particles co-occur together. This is very interesting. You could say, oh, this is an example I got from natural corpus, so it's kind of hard to understand. It basically means, had someone giving you 2 years rent, you could say, 住隔壁的 mall. So, 隔 and mall are two Q particles. You can feel free to omit either one of them. You can say, 住隔壁的. That's okay. You can also say, 住壁的 mall. You can also say 住隔壁的 mall. This is also okay. So, yeah, but this is not surprising actually, because in some other OV languages, no, sorry, this is another question. Yeah. So this is what the question.
So one of them is in sentence final position.
Yeah. More is sentence final.
And the other one is more or less in C2. Or it's not initial.
It is not initial. It can never be an initial. Yeah. It must be adjacent to a verb. It cannot be initial. Yeah.
Missed that, but can that not stand alone?
Stand alone to mean what?
Stand alone. Oh, sorry. Then that's 89B. That was what I want to ask. Yeah. So
Do you mean?
So can it appear itself as a question particle and formal question? And I saw 89B just that question.
What do you mean stand alone? Is combined with a single verb like?
No. It's just exactly 89B that without more it can.
Oh, it can. This is totally grammatical. This is totally grammatical. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go to. Yeah, Achang also has not a questions, but it's also different from Chinese. You can say eat, not eat. 在不在? Do you eat? And same like Chinese, 吃不吃? But the different thing is, in Chinese, the auxiliary verb want can also be duplicated. In Chinese, you could say want, neck, want. But in Achang, the duplication of the verb can only be the main verb. You can only say you this book read, not read, want. Do you want to read or not read this book? You can never reduplicate the auxiliary verb want. And this seems to imply that also negations surface at lower positions than Syntactic languages. Because in Chinese, you could say, use this book, read, want, read, use this book, you read this book, want, neck, want, right? But in Achang, only the main verb can be reduplicated. So they have the same structure, but the hierarchy of the negation kind of is different. Let's go to WH questions. I only elicited limited data of WH questions, but I think this interesting to me enough. This table just to show some dialectal variance between different Achang dialects. And you can see how these dialects differ. They are not mutually intelligible at all. This is Haju, this is Kaju, are kind of similar, but how this one is Haima, this one is Kasu, this one Yanggu, totally unintelligible. As compared to, so the first thing is, I've skipped it. So in copular sentences, there are no overt copulars at all. You can make a WH word or a nominal be predicate on themselves, which is also a canonical rule in modern Tibeto-Burman languages, and also kind of like the Old Chinese. And this is typically a WH in situ language. You just put in accusative positions. You could say this what. So what is this? And who neck come, who doesn't come. Which is not too interesting. But the interesting is, it seems that in situ WH words in Achang may not undergone covert movement in logical form, because if you compare it to a very canonical Mandarin Chinese example, Mandarin are famous known to have two interpretations. Zhang San know who by book. You can either mean Zhang San know who bought books, which WH word takes embedded scope. It can also mean who does Zhang San know bought books. But in Achang, we only have the first interpretation, like this: 像谢的他用了 he know who neck come. It can only mean he knows. So the WH questions get embedded. It's never raised. These results might not be too interesting, but I want to share how I got these results, because I'm not native speakers. How are you gonna elicit native intuitions from my interviewers? It's quite hard because my interviewers speak very poor Chinese. I can barely understand the Chinese spoken. I'm always guessing. Then at night, I confirm it with his daughter, who speaks Mandarin very well. So my interviewers basically cannot give me any native intuitions of whether this sentence can be interpreted in different ways. I think a good way to get this interpretation is, let's try to add more here. More is a Q particle. If this sentence can be interpreted as matrix WH, hopefully more cannot be added. But this does not to be the truth, because some languages, some Tibeto-Burman languages like modern Burmese, WH words must co-occur with a Q particle. But we know that in Achang, WH words can never, WH questions never co-occur with a Q particle. So in this sentence, if a Q particle can attach to this one, we can tell the B interpretations is not good in Achang. Namely, which questions?
How do you make sure that like the correct intonation is applied? Because as in model 2, I think to get the B interpretation, we also need a very special intonation.
You mean Mandarin?
Yes.
Yeah. So you mean could different intonations of the WH word in this sentence affect interpretations? Yeah, in Mandarin, if you pronounce like shay in a citation tone shay or in a neutral tone shay, it's gonna be different. Yeah. Yeah, I need to confirm whether haju can be pronounced differently. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Thanks. Yeah, we
Can
have
I ask you
Oh,
a question? So if that's not a possible interpretation, how do you get a matrix WH question where the WH
yeah.
word
Yeah, that is a good
is
question.
in
I'm
the embedded clause?
Okay, great. I'm going to show you. This is very interesting because if you want to get a matrix WH question, I think the most natural way in this language is to use two clauses. This one, 106. Basically, you first say a yes/no question, then followed by WH question. You say 像谢地茂, there's a pause, 还是唔啦? You say he know. Does he know? Pause. Who doesn't come? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, this is a very good sentence because it makes me really confused because I was also wondering if this interpretation not acceptable, how do you express that meaning? Yeah. Okay. So a general idea is Achang is probably more like a truly WH in situ languages compared to Chinese. Let's see some island things. Sorry, the sentences are pretty ugly. So the dish cooked by whom and at where tastes good. Sorry, these are multiple WH questions. These are not related to island. Sorry. So in multiple WH questions, if you have who and where, you should always put who in front of where in a complex DP. If you put where in front of who, that would be totally ungrammatical. And this is also like Chinese. In Chinese, you can say, 谁在哪儿做的菜最好吃, right? You cannot say 在哪儿谁做的菜最好吃, right? Yeah, it's really like Chinese. So, regarding island, the pattern is this low WH adjunct and high WH adjunct are based on a distinction made by Dalin Cai. So the truth is, low WH adjunct like Haima means how can either be inside a complex DP island. So the island is the dish cooked by him, and B is also acceptable. It moves out of this complex DP island and it's still good. You can say 那海马像过来样咱老的. This is okay. But when it turns to high WH adjunct, high sukuge, which is Y, you can never have this Y moved out of this island. Okay. Are there any questions or comments so far? I have 15 minutes left. Okay. If not, I may further share some DP structures. So DP structures in this language is very interesting because it has both similarities and commonalities compared to Syntactic ones, including Mandarin and Cantonese. I may just briefly exhibit this chart if you have any questions. So this chart is based on Janet Sibisma's famous article, Bare and Not So Bare Nouns. This chart comes from their article. If we add Achang data in this, so this chart basically tells us, so M refers to Mandarin, C refers to Cantonese, and A is what I added as Achang. The special thing about this chart is when a noun and a classifier be adjacent, it can be interpreted as generic in Achang, which is very special, not found in Syntactic languages. Because in Achang, if you say tree classifier, that does not mean that tree or this tree or the tree. It just means generally trees. But in Cantonese, if you say classified tree or classified dog, it can never get interpreted as generic. You could see from here, here, classifier plus noun in Cantonese can be interpreted as indefinite, as post-verbal positions, and definite as pre-verbal positions, but never be as generic. But I skip many details. This speciality actually doesn't come from synchronic factors, but due to some historical remnants of how classifiers are acting in this Achang. So this might look very weird from modern languages, but this is due to some historical syntax stuff.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Apply to distinguish indefinite and
Generic. I think you might ask Andrew because he recommended me a long book I haven't read, and this is trickier. So for generic, I just use a elicitation sentence like, "You're not looking at any object. You just tell me trees are tall. You're not pointing." Yeah, if you are pointing, suppose there are 5 trees in front of you, you just say trees are tall. That might be indefinite.
are you assuming the noun should be in singular form or plural?
Do you mean in overt morphology? Because this language generally don't have obligatory plural markers. So yeah. Sorry, what do you mean? In plural or singular? Yeah, I did mention plural or singular. So one of the major idea in this article is that in Mandarin, overt classifiers are always accompanied by a numeral. The numeral, but this is in the abstract sense. They argue the numeral can be overt or non-overt. But in this language, Achang, the difference is you always need a numeral. You cannot say, yeah, you always need a numeral. That is the difference. This means it seems that numeral must be overt in Achang. And another difference is in this language, bare nouns can never be definite. This is another major difference because you could see bare nouns in Mandarin could be definite, like people come, 人来了, right? But in this language, bare nouns can only be indefinite. So this seems to imply that so this article proposed there to be a N to C head movement in Mandarin because bare nouns in pre-verbal positions can be interpreted as definite. And they suppose there is a N2D, sorry. N2D movement. But in this language, it can never have bare nouns interpreted as definite in provable positions, so it just seems to imply that entity movement does not apply in Achang. Yeah, but the DP structures of this language is still very fuzzy to me because there are a lot of other constituents can be inserted within DPs. This is a very interesting example that I talked with Andrew, and if you say in English there is only one star in the sky, it's ambiguous. There could be still other things in the sky, or there's no other things in the sky. It's a semantic thing. And in this language, it uses this quantifier, y, to make such distinction. And this quantifier is licensed by this operator. Yeah, I think Andrew is correct. These sentences are semantically different when this quantifier only surfaces at different positions. If it is precedes that, it means there is only one star in the sky and no still other things in the sky because it modifies one. If it modifies star, it means no other things are in the sky. This is very interesting contrast. And
Maybe we need to wrap up.
oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
But,
250. Yes.
yeah, I had a question though about the classifier thing. So in this language you have to have a numeral. I mean that's
Yeah, you
clear,
must.
but
Yeah, here.
what numeral has to be there to use it for a generic reading? I mean, you say two, say long thing tree or something to mean that you're talking about trees? Well, what number?
Yes, I said that is a weird thing from synchronic view, but that is a historical remnant because if you see this one, I only got one example where noun plus classifier are interpreted as generic. If you see 十磅, 阿苗,
So there's no number there though, right?
yes, but I will explain this is a historical remnant because I only found this classifier that can be attached to a bare noun without numerals. But others classifiers are not allowed to do so. You cannot say person classifier. And if you compare it to other languages, 棒, I mean, in this language, basically, 十磅 has already lexicalized into a one word, but native speakers can still recognize the morpheme boundary. If you see two trees, you see tree to classifier. This is bang. Yeah, this is a very special case where you don't have a numeral, you have a noun classified, but it's generic. It's very strange. Yeah.
I know we have to wrap up. Can I just give one suggestion to you and Hui about the generic? So, I mean, one diagnostic for generics that is in the Krifka et al. Paper that I sent you is the usually test. So trees are tall is essentially equivalent to trees are usually tall because generics permit exceptions. So like if you ask a speaker, does trees are tall mean the same thing as trees are usually tall? If it's a generic, it should mean pretty much the same thing. But if it's a definite or an indefinite, like this tree is usually tall, that doesn't make sense because the tree is either tall or it's not tall, right? So that would be like a fairly easy test to just elicit some of these with usually and see if they're or typically or generally any adverb like that.
Thanks so much. Thanks. Okay, that's all. If you have any questions, yeah, you can email me. Yeah. Or
Maybe
or we
it
can
depend
talk
on the
later.
phone.
Yeah, we can talk later.
Yeah. Okay. I will stop sharing and